Yes, 8.3%.
I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Commissioners for September 12th, 2024 for the town of Mint Hill, North Carolina. We do have a quorum present. I would ask if Commissioner Henderson would this time lead us in our invocation, please.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for meeting us here on this evening. We ask that you would be with us and that you would give us wisdom, give us guidance as we deliberate on the issues at hand. We pray for all the citizens of Mint Hill, the officials of Mint Hill, the staff of Mint Hill, and that you would be with them. So continue to lead us and guide us as only you're able to do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Item 3 on our agenda tonight is additions, deletions, or arrangement of agenda items. Do we have any? Good. Item number 4, approve minutes of the July 11th, 2024 regular meeting.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 5 is the consent agenda. A, accept tax collector settlement for fiscal year 2023 in order of collection. B, adopt budget amendments. C, accept June and July treasurer's report and financial statements. D, execute Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization Memorandum of Understanding. I see now why they call it CARPO. E, accept July tax collector's report. F, accept FY25 fire service agreement. G, approve interlocal agreement with Mecklenburg County for street addressing. H, approve new fleet maintenance supervisor job description. I, authorize the town manager to execute Duke Energy easement to serve the public services facility. And J, adopt resolution to allow the town to participate in North Carolina class.
Motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 6, public comments. Nobody signed up? Thank you, sir. Item number 7, presentation by Charlotte Water. Angela Charles, if you would introduce yourself officially, please, to the fine people of Mint Hill, and then you have the
Sure.
floor, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mayor Simmons. I am Angela Charles, Director of Charlotte Water, and I am here to give you a brief update, and thank you all, commissioners and Manager Welch and staff, town staff, for giving me the opportunity to give you an update. Also with me, I want to introduce William Lee. He is operations manager for our field operations division that is responsible for maintenance and repairs of the water distribution and wastewater collection system in the county.
Welcome, Mr. Lee.
Okay, so the state of the utility is basically what I'm doing here. We'll talk a little bit about our 23 and 24 accomplishments, and then look at emerging issues and just a quick look ahead. Just as a quick reminder, Charlotte Water is the major water and wastewater purveyor in Mecklenburg County. We serve 8 different jurisdictions. We have 3 water plants, 5 wastewater treatment plants, major plants, 1 what we call a smaller wastewater treatment facility. It's in Mint Hill, the Ash Plantation. And we maintain over 10,000 miles of water and wastewater collection and distribution lines in Mecklenburg County. We are somewhere around the 13th or 14th largest water and wastewater utility in the nation. just a few of our statistics. I have talked about those a little bit. We'll pump 116 million gallons of water a day to serve 1.2 million in the Charlotte, Mecklenburg region. We are still AAA rated, which speaks to the financial work that we do. We pay attention to the utility financially. And again, our objective is also to remain as reasonable as possible for the residents in our community. This is new for us. This is the second year that we've done this. It's an economic impact study. So when you think about economic development in our region, the airport is the agency that is, really gets a lot of recognition for economic development in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, but we've always thought, nothing happens without water and wastewater. And so we had a consultant come in and say, how can we quantify the economic impact of water in our region? And so what we found is that for every 1 million spent, 10 plus jobs are created. Now, Charlotte Water has a $2.25 billion 5-year capital improvement program. Last year, we pumped over $500 million into our economy. So you think in terms of jobs, for every 1 million, 10 plus jobs are created in our area. 261,000 jobs were created in the 6-county region by water-dependent industries. And when we look at really economic output, you got, 15.2 million in economic output for every 1 million spent, and 48.5 million in economic output contributed by water-dependent industries in the 6-county region. And again, for every county that is adjacent to Charlotte Water, we have connections. We actually serve in Iredell, Cabarrus. We wholesale to 3 communities in South Carolina. And so when you look at the 6-county region, Charlotte Water definitely contributes economically to our region, has an impact. Some of our accomplishments, hopefully you have experienced or heard of our text and email alert system. Anyone in our service area can sign up online, charlottewater.org. Renew Brew, we hit social media nationally. We are the first in the Carolinas to produce and we didn't produce, we were in partnership with Town Brewery, and they created a beer out of recycled water from our McDowell Creek wastewater treatment plant. And that is in Huntersville. Out west, this is very, very common. Portland, Oregon leads the way, but in terms of using water and thinking about our water resources differently, we've hit the national scene with this. PBS came down and did a story, and if you check out Renew Brew, it has come to be something that's a feather in our cap, and we're very, very proud of that. We're still managing overflows. We are continuing with our apprenticeship program because we really are having to train people in our job market to enter the water and wastewater system. We broke ground on the Stowe Regional wastewater treatment facility, a water resource recovery facility. I'm showing my age here. And it is this facility will not only serve the western part of Mecklenburg County, but we are in partnership with Mount Holly and Belmont in Gaston County, and we will be treating their wastewater. We have completed 2 pipelines, 75 feet below the creek bed, the Catawba River Creek bed, to, serve this facility. And so we're very, very proud of that. And then we opened up a One Water facility. It is on West Tyvola Road. It's 4100 West Tyvola Road. And One Water, for us, is water, wastewater, and stormwater. And so in 2020, the City of Charlotte's Stormwater Group became a part of the larger Charlotte Water. And so we have our stormwater folks co-located with our field folks at West Tyvola. So we're very, very proud of that. Looking ahead, PFAS. And so PFAS has been in the news nationally. Polyfluoroalkyl substances, and there are thousands of them. We are very, very fortunate in that we have a pristine water source. And so the EPA limits for 8 or 9 substances. We are below those limits, and so currently we aren't having any issues with PFAS, but we are preparing because there will be a day when there will be one substance that the technology probably will be able to detect. And so how do we prepare ourselves as it relates to PFAS and meeting the regulatory requirements? That's what we're working on. Lead and copper rule. The federal government has required all utilities to know the pipe type and pipe material of every customer or premise that it serves on the private property side. So, it's not just the part that Charlotte Water maintains, but the federal government now wants us to have an inventory. And so we are now taking care of that, and we'll be submitting that to federal EPA. It begs the question as to what is coming next. Because why does the public utility need to know what's on private property? Major upgrade to payment portal, everything's on the phone. Your telephones now, smartphones are like little computers. And so this winter, we are going to be releasing CLT Water Hub. And it'll be, a platform where our customer base can pay a bill, submit a service request, get information, and it's going to be mobile ready. And so we have folks working on that. Interbasin transfer plan or request. I've been on just about every news station regarding what is called IBT. Anytime you move water from one river basin to another, it is called an interbasin transfer plan. There is a it's called an interbasin transfer. And so that transfer is governed by NCDEQ. There's a ridge line in Mecklenburg County. Parts of Mint Hill is on the other side of the ridge line. And so all of the water, all of the 1.2 million people that we serve, the drinking water source is the Catawba River, but we have one treatment plant, which is the Mallet Creek plant. We have Ash Plantation, and then we have an agreement with Wasatch where the wastewater discharges go to the Rocky River and end up in the Yadkin PD. And so that's what this media coverage has been about, is that we've had to do a 30-year look, and we want to modify the amount we are allowed to transfer. So that's what's going on there. And then again, we have a 2.25 capital improvement investment plan. And this plan really, we really could do more. But, again, we have to manage rates with what, the utility can actually put in the ground and implement. But we're very, very proud of the amount of work that we can do to maintain our existing infrastructure and also to impact growth and support growth. This is my last slide. This is new. One lesson from COVID is that we realize that we we really don't have a way, if someone needs help in our community, it is very disjointed. And when I mean help with paying their water or wastewater bills. Some people go to DSS, some people go to crisis assistance, even folks go to their churches. In COVID, we had churches paying for water bills for some of their members. And so this is really coming forth out of COVID. And we said, you know what, we need to have one place where people can go to and then get referred and/or get financial assistance if needed. So the H2O Foundation was created, and so this year we have been, so far, me and the deputies, we've been setting the foundational work for this, and then we will be turning this organization over to a board. I'm going to call it full-time, but it's really the original board because, on some level, it's a conflict of interest for us to be involved in it. But you'll hear more about it. It is the H2O Foundation. That stands for Helping Hands Outreach, 501c3. We have solicitor's license in North and South Carolina. And again, it will be for people in our customer base who are delinquent. And we have delinquent customers in every community. There is not a town nor a city that is exempt from people being delinquent. And I think a lesson in COVID is how can we keep people in water service this day and time. So that concludes our update, and I will entertain any questions that you all have. I really appreciate your engagement. The partnership that we have with Mint Hill is strong. This is my last update, so we saved the best for last.
Amen.
That's the story. That's the story. We're gonna stick to it,
Yep.
and I will now pause for questions.
Commissioner Henderson, any questions?
Just one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a reason why water bills are kind of high? I mean, is it because of trying to keep the existing infrastructure the way that it is?
Yeah, our water bills actually are not, if you look at, and I wish I had my computer with me, but we benchmark ourselves nationally. And with other utilities our size, we are very, very reasonable. Your water bill, if you live in our community, is 1.2% of your annual household income. And the benchmark is 4.5% for a water and wastewater bill, according to EPA and UNC School of Government. So we fare very well in that. But we're like any other utility, like Duke Energy, Piedmont. You still have people in the community sometimes who have difficulty, paying bills. And so that's the intent of the foundation, to help those in need.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Pro Tim Dalton.
Not a question, it's more of a comment. I used to be a general contractor and did a lot of work in the downtown Charlotte area.
Yeah.
I knew the struggles you went through for years of the old pipes and hazard replacement, plus with all the new people moving into the area. I commend your staff and management to staying on top of all that.
Thank you so much. 31% of that 2.2 billion 5-year is for rehab and replacement of the existing infrastructure. 43% is for growth. So when you look at the 2.2 billion, it is really growth and rehab and rehabilitation of what we have. And I appreciate that about the staff. I think we've got the greatest staff. But yeah, we are very intentional, and it is hard work. Yeah, 117 people a day is the latest moving into our region. And again, Charlotte Water is regional. It's not just the city of Charlotte. We're serving 1.2 million people in this region. And so it takes a talented staff to take on, stay on top of that and to make sure it's accessible.
Commissioner Holden.
With all of that growth, that's coming into the Charlotte area. Is there anything in our area here in the near future we should be aware of as far as expansion for water and sewer to some of the outlying areas that are growing?
You know, I know we meet with town staff, and so I don't have anything right off the top of my head that I can relate to you now. But in our capital program, we coordinate with town staff on priorities. And we do that with all the towns. So the priorities for Mint Hill, I do know we have some property here for a tank that we eventually want to put here for resiliency of the water system. But yeah, we balance it all, and there's an honest and good effort to coordinate with Mint Hill staff, and that's where the partnership comes in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Commissioner Long?
I have no questions. Thank you for coming out and briefing us, because I think water is like our electricity. We take it for granted until it's not there.
Thank you, sir.
And I want to say kudos as well. You said that you'd been on all the news channels, and I do quite a bit of traveling throughout the country.
Yes.
And the good thing about when you're on the news channels, it seems to be for the right reasons.
Well, thank you.
So whoever was involved in us doing a contract with them for our water supplier years ago made a very good decision, and we appreciate all that you do for the town of Mint Hill and the surrounding area.
Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate that, and again, we appreciate the partnership with Mint Hill. Brian knows how to get us. You can believe that.
Yeah. Sometimes
yes.
that's not a good thing.
Yeah, well, we know when he calls, we need to answer, so don't worry about that. But we appreciate you all's support of water in the region.
And I don't want Mr. Lee to get out of here for us thanking him for all that you do, because
Yeah.
you've got a lot of headaches on that side of the equation too.
Yeah.
And we appreciate all you're doing.
Yes.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Item number 8 is presentation by Mecklenburg County regarding homes, helping out Mecklenburg's homeowners with economic support. Shakira Francis, did I get that right?
I'm actually Jamie Nagel. Shakira could not be
Oh,
here.
well, we've got to stop the whole meeting.
We have to
now.
stop?
No. Well,
Don't
then
kick me
please-
out.
Please introduce yourself, and then you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me this evening. And the pivot, life happens, right?
Absolutely.
So my name is Jamie Nagel. I work for Mecklenburg County as the Homes Program Supervisor. So I'll be giving you this presentation this evening. I want to shout out, well, she just left, but the water presentation was phenomenal. I'm a Mecklenburg County resident also. So thanks for having that.
Yeah.
So our mission is to provide Mecklenburg County homeowners who are struggling with the rising costs of home ownership a relief resource in the Homes Program. Oh, I was about ready to say next slide. Oh, okay. So we serve all Mecklenburg County homeowners. We are an ally to those struggling with the rising costs of owning a home. And I just want to point out that we help low to moderate income households, and you'll see the income guide here shortly. So if you are a Mecklenburg County only resident, you could save up to $648 on your tax bill this year. If you reside within city limits, so that's City of Charlotte, we partnered with the town of Davidson this year, and they provided us additional funding. So any town of Davidson resident is eligible for an additional up to $566. The amount is determined by the value of your property in Mecklenburg County, so that's how we say up to. All right, so are you eligible? So there are already state programs that assist veterans. Those are elderly and disabled. Present use value, which is farmland, and the circuit breaker program. But we are a county-run program that helps Mecklenburg County residents specifically. So the property must be located within Mecklenburg County. It must be the owner's legal primary residence at the time of application, and you must have lived in your home for the past 3 consecutive years. Your name must also be on the recorded deed or title. If it's not, we do accept life estates that are notarized. All right, so I did say low to moderate. So for a one-person household, it starts at $59,400. I just want to point out there's no age requirement. You can be a veteran, you don't have to be. You can be 65, you don't have to be. We really target all Mecklenburg County homeowners that meet our eligibility criteria. The income that we look at is your income from the previous tax year. So we look at your 2023 income taxes, Or if you only get Social Security, we would just look at your Social Security from the previous year to determine your income amount. All right, so the first year of the program, when the county assessor's office had it, they had 677 applications. Jump to last year, which was actually my first year with the program, we moved to 7,622 applications. So we jumped from 677 to 7,622. We were very intentional about getting out in the community, garnering the audience of individuals to get the word out. So last year, we awarded $2 million in homes grants, and as of, I think, this afternoon when I looked, we were at 1.9 million so far. The deadline for the program this year is November 22nd, so I'm really excited to say we are probably going to exceed. So we do process those applications on a first-come, first-served basis. If you have already paid your property taxes for this year, we would just roll your grant onto your tax bill for 2025. So you would still receive your 2024 grant, it just would be in 2025. If you escrow your property taxes, this is a big question. People are like, well, what if my mortgage company pays my taxes and I don't own my home? That is okay. We still award the grant to your tax bill, and then when your mortgage company requests your tax bill, they see that reduced amount. So they pay the escrow amount for that reduced tax bill. We do not send the payments directly to the grant recipients. We work with the Office of the Tax Collector to notify them of the grant amount, and then they credit it to the bill. There is a variety of ways to apply. The biggest one, about 75% of our applications are received online through the web. The remaining applications are received at some of our physical locations, the biggest one being 3205 Freedom Drive, which is where I work. So we are located in Building A, which is the Freedom Drive side. But we also have a space in the Office of the Tax Collector. So when people panic and they're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my taxes? They are aware that we are there so that they can send those individuals over to us so that we can triage them right away. We also take mail-in apps. For our individuals who are homebound, we do applications over the phone. So we really make sure that we get everywhere and accommodate all individuals with receiving applications. This is our leadership team. So starting with our director, Yolanda Griffin, all the way down to me on the bottom. And then, do you all have any questions?
Commissioner Long? No, sir. Commissioner Holton?
No, it's a great program. So
Thank you, I
for
love
being
it.
here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dalton?
I agree with Patrick. It's a great program to help out some people who probably really need it, maybe in trouble of losing their home.
Yes, yep.
Commissioner Henderson?
How would people find out about the program? How would they know to apply?
So the first things first is when everybody got their tax bills around the beginning of August, and we're all Mecklenburg County residents, right? If you open up that tax bill, our flyer was in the tax bill. The next thing is we have some coordinated efforts with the City of Charlotte Water. So a lot of our escrow folks don't open their tax bills because they're like, well, my mortgage company pays it. Why would I open my tax bill, right? So the City of Charlotte, we did some water bill inserts. So if you open up your water bill sometime this month, you will see that water bill insert. We do a lot of social media. We do a lot of outreach at our rec centers with our seniors. We do, if you have a student at Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools, I do, we use their Peach Jar system, so you get those electronic notifications. So we have flyers go out in that Peach Jar system so parents see it. We use a variety of ways to get the word out. There's a bus, apparently, I've never seen it, but we put the stuff on the bus.
That's another question.
Yeah,
Do you have a cap on this eventually? I mean, you went 7.
yeah, so we had, I think, around $7 million available to spend this year between City of Charlotte funding, which we took over their aging in place funding, Town of Davidson, and then Mecklenburg County. So if we do run out of funds, we don't anticipate running out of funds this year, then we will exhaust funds, and then you have to reapply next year. But your home can be valued at any amount. So with gentrification, we are seeing a lot of homes that would have been valued maybe at $100,000 before reeval that are much higher in value, and we really aim to target those folks because we want to keep them in their homes.
I want to thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
We'll try to get this information out in some of our social media things.
I would appreciate that, thank you.
And I don't normally do this, but I saw a hand go up. Somebody else has a question, so I'm going to
Ask
allow
all
it.
the questions.
I'm going to allow
I
it.
love questions.
I'm going to allow
I
it.
was just curious, the income amounts that you had, was that a gross household income or an adjusted?
Love that question because people get a little, they ask that question a lot. So we take gross income. We do not look at AGI. And the way that I explain it is the state of North Carolina requires us to count all monies received, which is, think about the difference between your federal tax return and your state tax return. It's different. So we do look at the North Carolina Department of Revenue definition of income. Great question. Thank you.
Thank
No
you.
other questions from behind. Thank you.
so very
Thank you
much.
for having me. I really
you coming
appreciate it.
out. Thank you. Item number 9, discussion and decision, ZC 24-3, filed by Capital Land Partners LLC to rezone 25.19 acres of property located at 10542, 10600, 10616, and 10608 Lawyers Road to residential consisting of 50 lots. I see the applicant is present. If you'll go to the podium, John, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, sir, and I'll go over this planning board transmittal, and then I'll ask Mr. Boone to explain what has happened since that meeting in July. So July 15th, the planning board met, and they offer a favorable recommendation on this case. They have a recommended consistency statement that reads as follows. The land use plan identifies the property as low-density residential. The low-density residential area was characterized by low-density residential development. Single-family detached homes on half-acre lots are larger or common. Smaller lots are accomplished by keeping the gross density of the development at 2 units per acre or less. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And what Mr. Boone is going to do tonight is the planning board, with that favorable recommendation, they had a couple conditions included in that. And so Mr. Boone can explain what has happened since that meeting.
Any questions for John before Mr. Boone begins? You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to talk tonight. I just want to address a couple of the items that John just mentioned that were brought up in the planning board meeting that we had. Two specific ones were that we were asked to look at the main road going in, which is called Daisy Drive, and see if we could pull that down in any areas that would allow some of the lots that back up to the adjacent neighborhood, the single-family neighborhood, not the senior community, and see if we could pull that down and give those lots a little bit deeper backyard. And so we engaged our engineer to do that. And the exhibit that you're looking at, or if you can see that, that exhibit shows what we did. And basically, just to summarize that, we were in the area, if you know where that pond is, in the area where that pond is, we were able to pull that road down as much as 19 to 20 feet in that area. And then as you go around the curve, it narrows down to about 8 or 9 feet that we were able to pull it down. And then as you get closer to the cul-de-sac, it drops down to about 5 and then about 4 feet as you get, that road gets closer to that cul-de-sac. And that, the reason it narrows like that is because we talked about this in the planning board meeting, we have a post-construction 100-year buffer that we have to protect. It's an undisturbed buffer, and so we start bumping into that in those areas. So we believe we can pull the road down, we can accommodate some of the, or accommodate the requests that we got from the planning board. And that's when we haven't submitted construction drawings, but our plan is to have our engineer make that adjustment when we submit plans. And it's in our favor to do that as well because it makes those lots even more desirable. So it was a good recommendation. We addressed it with the exhibit. John has that, and we'd be glad to go in any more detail on that. And then the second issue that came up was that there are homeowners on Surrey Court that were concerned about the tree preservation and or just the lots that were backing up to that neighborhood and providing adequate privacy and screening. And specifically, we were asked to meet with Carol and Alan, which we did. We met on 2 occasions at their home and also had a couple of phone conversations. We have now added a note to our rezoning plan, which is a condition to the rezoning, to provide a 20-foot buffer And that will be an undisturbed tree-safe buffer behind those lots. It will be recorded on the plat, and that would be a permanent buffer for, behind those lots, which is lots 17 through 20, but it's specifically behind their home. There was additional discussion in our meetings about providing some fencing and some other shrubs or trees as well to provide additional screening. And we talked in pretty significant detail about that. And I guess we felt like that some of the requests were going beyond the spirit of what we were asked to do and what we felt like was reasonable, given the significant amount of trees that are already behind there and the fact that we're preserving 20 feet. And so we didn't come to a definite consensus as to what, or I guess agreement there, but we felt like we've addressed the concern that we were asked to address, which was to provide tree preservation and privacy behind that lot. We also met with the adjacent neighbor, Art Merrick. He had a concern about some tall pines that were on his, the back of his lot, that we were going to potentially damage those during construction. And so we reached a letter agreement with him that we're going to have an arborist go out, examine those trees. If they're damaged, and they need to be removed, then we will remove them at all costs. And then we had 2 or 3 other homeowners that have homes on Surrey Court that just called. We discussed the plan with them, shared the maps that you see there and the aerials. It shows their lots backing up to Alexander Landing. And once we did that, we didn't hear any additional concerns. So we felt like we've addressed the concerns of anyone that contacted us and that we were asked to address at the planning board meeting. And be glad to answer any questions or share any additional information.
Questions or comments, Commissioner Henderson? Couldn't remember which end I was going to. Sorry.
Not at this time.
Mayor Pro Tem Dalton.
Yes, getting to the fence, shrubbery, a buffer between the homes. Last time we were here, I think it was talked about putting a fence across through there, and I know when we met at the Masonic Lodge, I think a lot of the homeowners at that time were okay or in favor of a fence. Is that still on the table?
The homeowners that contacted us, with exception of the Allens, we showed them the buffer that would be there, the tree save that we're trying to do. And basically what we were trying to do is offer either trees or as opposed to having to take trees out and put in fencing. So where there is a tree buffer, we are providing that or maintaining that. Anyone that we discussed it with seemed to be fine with that, so we didn't go beyond that in our discussions. The Allens specifically wanted a fence to run the length of their lot as well as additional shrubs. And we were compromising on that, but we felt like the spirit of that went beyond what we thought was the intent, which was if there are significant trees, and in their case, there's some as high as 20 feet on a large portion of their rear yard, and it's a pie-shaped lot, so it's got a 30 or 40 feet of rear yard. And so we're willing to provide fencing, but we felt like the fencing ought to be provided in the area where the trees were less mature, and that's what we offered. And so that's where we ended up. And so I just felt like it was yeah, there you go. So that's the photographs. We walked the rear yard, met twice at their home. To the right, you'll see those larger trees that on the rear of their property. And then to the left, we had offered to provide fencing there where those trees are not as mature, but still 6, 8, 10 feet in height. And by the time these homes are built, it'll be another several feet. And so that's what we offered as a compromise. And then if there was any gap there, we were going to put trees. It came back to us as either provide this or we're not accepting anything. And so that's where it broke down. And so we want to be good neighbors, but we also felt like we had made a good compromise and just weren't able to reach a complete agreement on that. And so what we try to do is compromise in the spirit of what we were asked to do, which is preserve trees or preserve privacy or I guess preserve privacy, but either through a tree buffer or fencing. And if fencing none of the other neighbors came to us requesting fencing specifically. Now, and I shared this, I think, at the meeting, there's no doubt that the homes will have fencing there. It's just, are we putting it up or are the homeowners going to be putting that fencing up? And then the type of fencing, as we discussed, we prefer to have a black aluminum fence with some landscaping as opposed to some of the privacy fencing that you see that's the vinyl white fencing. And so that's the way we've left it. But we're more than willing to address whatever concerns y'all have.
Okay. No more questions at this time.
Commissioner Holton.
Is Mr. Albert Allen here by chance tonight?
Yes, I am. Yes.
So you sent us an email the other day, and we're highlighting a bunch of these, and it looks like, I just want to hear it from you, like the buffer has been moved, correct?
I'm not sure what you mean by the buffer.
Well, like you were saying in the email that it was going away, but it sounds to me like they've moved the road, the buffer's there.
I'm not aware of a movement of the road. Last time we talked, I was told that the road would be moved by about 4 or 5 feet. The original buffer that Mr. Boone brought to us showed that triangular area outlined by the yellow. It did not have the 20-foot frontage. Then when the proposal, when I asked for a copy of it later, it was 20-foot buffer line. That was the first we'd seen of that, and that's apparently what they put in the proposal for the notes. As I indicated in the email, I think we have a disagreement as to the characterization of what's behind it. It's basically weeds and pasture grass that die every winter. There are a few trees there, they're not privacy fences. The other thing is that originally Mr. Boone was talking about dedicating that entire area to the homeowners association, which had made them responsible for it. That's not in the current proposal. It's the 20-foot buffer, but it's still the property of the individual lots. My concern is 5 years, 10 years down the road, you wake up one morning and one of those homeowners is going to have taken out the weeds that are in their backyard, and I won't have any recourse, and Mr. Boone will be long gone working on the project. So we don't think the 20-foot buffer is unworkable. I mean, and it's also not, it's basically weeds. The second thing I would disagree with Mr. Boone on is there was another homeowner who, in my understanding, asked for a fence. So not comfortable talking. He's felt like he asked.
No, I got you. And like I said, I mean, I just want to make sure,
Can I address
yeah.
if there is one, then I have no emails to that effect or anyone. I don't know if, we're more than happy to meet with anyone, and we've done that. We've met with people, we've gone to their homes. And then I would say with respect to the buffer, we explained that if the homeowners association, if it were dedicated to the homeowners association, that's no assurance that they're going to maintain it either. In fact, in my experience, they are less likely to. And if it's on the plat and that individual does it, then they're subject to restrictions as to how that would be addressed. Now, we did say we would put language in the homeowners association that said that would be a penalty. So if that homeowner takes out a tree without the permission of the association, then it would have a penalty. But it would be on the plat and that's, you see that throughout. Charlotte anytime you have plans that have an undisturbed buffer, it's generally on the plat, and it would show as an undisturbed buffer on the plat. So I think that provides the same amount of protection. If you did dedicate it to the homeowners association, then it potentially affects the storm pipe that we have behind there, because then you would have a setback from there.
Yeah, and that's like I'm saying, I mean, Mr. Allen, I want to make sure we're reading these, we see them. I mean, I want to make sure that your concerns are addressed with it. I mean, I don't know what the compromise is within reason.
Okay, so we originally met, I felt very,
Come on, yeah, I can't hear.
board after that, expressed, I told Mr. Boone while we were meeting, I said, we need to put it in writing, because there's gonna be, we don't want things misstated. So we met with Mr. Horde. What we asked for was, we thought consistent with what had always been proposed, that yes, we can do a fence, and in fact, Mr. Boone has repeatedly said we like the aluminum fence with some plantings behind it. We prefer that to the white fence. So, and he was the one who initially came to us with this proposal of taking that triangle to the homeowner association. It wasn't us. In fact, that was the first time I thought, well, maybe we can make an agreement that we would oppose it. So we asked for that. We asked for the aluminum fence, the plantings behind it. And one thing that we asked that wasn't in there, we asked for some sort of delineation between what the property owner would have and then what the homeowners association land would have. And we thought, well, maybe they're going to put up fencing anyway. That would be fine. Then there's no issue. The homeowner knows where his property is. He's not going to be cutting down stuff 5 years, 10 years down the road, and then we have to fight for it. That's when Mr. said there's been miscommunication. We had a second meeting. At that point, there was, this 20-foot buffer is what was proposed within the town. We felt it wasn't adequate for the reasons we expressed to all of you in that. And then also other fewer trees, because as Ben said, the cost of installing the trees, I forget the number, it was very high. It was much higher than what we had looked at when we just shopped we asked for 7 foot, I think they were like $65 a piece at Lowe's. So we made a second proposal on cut down, reduce the number of trees to address the situation where he talks about water that's growing up. And never
I got you. I mean, it seems to me they're doing some moves. They've done the moves here. They've got it on the paper. You said you'd put fence up for them, right?
Yeah, and where that broke down, just so that's clear, is what we offered is to put fencing from the shed over to from the left, if you're looking at this photograph, to the left where he has current fencing, and even provide some shrubs. What we were asked to do is put fencing along the entire rear yard, and 18 to 20 7-foot or 7-gallon trees, which was expensive, and I'm not going to go install the trees. So if I hire someone to do that, I don't know what they pay for them, but they certainly don't install them for us and put the soil amendments in for $68. So it was a fairly expensive, and we're not trying to be nickel and diming here, but it just felt like it was beyond the spirit of what we were asked to do, and it was put to us as either you agree to this or we're gonna take this to litigation, and it just didn't feel right to me. And so that type of negotiation is why we just said, okay, fine, we'll provide the buffer, and then we'll discuss it with the town, and whatever the town wants us to do is what we'll do, and that's the way we feel about it. And so we're fine to do what the town asked us to do, but I just felt like the spirit of how we were. And we went to his house, met for hours. I had a long conversation on my vacation about this. So it wasn't that we weren't trying to work something out. It was just we felt like it was you look at the amount of trees that we're preserving with the 20-foot buffer and what we were being asked to do, and I just felt like it was, if I did that for every homeowner, it would be significant. And so I feel like I have to treat each homeowner the same in that respect.
I think Mr. Boone is leaving out the second email where we offered to basically put the fence in, we accept the 20-foot buffer, and we put in a reduced number of trees, and we never heard back.
But that was the email in which you said, either you agree to this, or we're gonna take it to
You
litigation.
put it like that.
Well, that's the way I've read it. And
Anything
that's why I said, well, I'm not, I felt like
Okay,
it was.
we've got, anything else further, Commissioner Long?
No, sir.
Commissioner Long?
I have a question for John, just for the record. How many times has this piece of property been brought to this board?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming you're including, like developer workshops. I mean, I can think of at least 5 times, but maybe more than that.
At least 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's been over the last 15 years, probably, we've been dealing with this property.
Before Mr. Boone.
Yes, yeah, yes.
Mr. Boone, I'm not a big fan of fencing other than masonry, just because of the maintenance. And if you got trees around there, trees are eventually going to fall. And then that nice aluminum fence that you put up now, a tree's going to fall across it and somebody's going to be upset about that. But make sure I understand, part of your offering was a fence along his property line,
Yes.
period? Is that right?
Yeah, it would be along the rear property line, but it's where that I don't know if you can see it, but there's a
Yes, sir.
fence right there.
Yes, sir.
So we were gonna basically replace that fence with a 6-foot aluminum fence.
And about how many linear feet, any ideas?
Gosh, I can't remember now, how many linear feet it was. But it was roughly, I think it was over half the yard. And then you get on the other side and they look like, and I've walked the property, they look pretty mature trees to me. And so I don't consider those to be shrubs.
I understand. So let me ask you a
And so
question.
that's why we were saying, well, this is a compromise. We'll do this. We'll put some, if there's a gap in the trees, we'll plant some extra trees there.
Right.
And then when it broke down is really when it was put to us, like either you do this or.
I understand. I certainly understand. Thank you for persevering. If this were part of the caveat to get this approved, how do you feel about that, to put an aluminum fence?
Well, I'll do what the town wants to do, because I'm sorry that we're even having this discussion in front of
No, no.
y'all, to be honest with you. I don't think it's something that should involve y'all. It should be something we should have worked out, and so I apologize for that. But I'll do whatever you think is right. And so that's the way I look at it. And I will say that Alan's a wonderful people. We enjoyed meeting them, and it was, I'm sorry it didn't get worked out, but I felt like we were trying to negotiate in good faith, and it broke down.
Okay.
And I apologize for that.
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Anybody else have any further questions? I'm a little concerned that we're to even consider setting such a precedent that we're going to do this for this homeowner or this for this homeowner. I bought my home and had a house go in behind it that I didn't like real well, and so I put up a fence in my yard. Kind of the effect that I'll pull my shades down to not look at it instead of asking the people behind me to put their shades down so I couldn't see it. So that's my 2 cents. That's my comment on the thing, is I don't want to get into this thing someplace down the road and somebody down here say, well, we wanted a fence too, and we wanted a fence too, and we can't set it up for that. It's our job as a board to decide how we're going to handle this at this point in time. So I would entertain a motion from anybody on the board. Do I need to do consistency statement first? It's kind of chicken or the egg, isn't it?
Yeah, do we have it on the agenda in order? Then it doesn't matter, whichever order you want.
All right. Do I have a motion on the consistency statement that was sent to us by the planning board?
So moved.
Second.
So moved to approve? Is that your understanding? Okay, have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion on the consistency statement itself? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we accept the consistency statement. I will now accept a motion on the decision on, let me go back over here and find it, ZC 24-3.
I'll make a motion to approve ZC 24-3 to rezone 25.19 acres of property located at the address as shown.
As presented here this evening.
Presented, yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Well, can I ask something first?
Not until I get a second, then we can go into discussion again.
Second.
That's that Robert Rules Order. I don't know who Roberts even is, but I got to follow it. Yes, ma'am.
I guess my question would be, after the vote, is there still opportunity for you all to still
Yes.
work with, I don't know if Allen is the first name or last name, Allen, work with
Al.
Albert Adam.
Adams,
Albert Allen.
Adam, but to still have a conversation, that's what I would just hope, that there would still be some conversation after this.
We want to be good neighbors, and I'm more than willing, Al, for us to, and I've told any neighbor that. In fact, the board member, the president of the board for the Traditions asked me to, could we continue to talk about things like when we got someone out there to take whatever trees we do have to take down, could we address some concerns they have? And said, absolutely. So we're not going away.
All right, I have a motion and I have a second. Does the board have any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 10, discussion and decision on ZC 24-4 filed by the town of Mint Hill to amend section 6.8 of the post-construction ordinance. Mr. Horde,
I'll take it for John.
well, somebody put John's name next to it. I thought it was you anyway, but it just said, go right ahead, please, Mr. Fry.
So this is one of our rollovers from the council meeting last month. Since we brought it to you in July to begin this process. The planning board met in July and gave it a favorable recommendation. And just as a quick refresher, this is the removal of petitioning for BMP maintenance for residential BMPs, as well as adjustments to our TIA, traffic impact assessment thresholds in our unified development ordinance. I'd be happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
Anybody have any questions for that? I'm not going to go up and down the row.
No question.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on ZC 24-4.
Motion to approve ZC 24-4?
I have a motion and second. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 11, discussion related to Founder's Park permanent bathroom structure, action deemed appropriate. Mr. Williams.
Thank you. Justin Williams, staff engineer, and I just wanted to quickly discuss the permanent bathroom structure at Founder's Park. So with the information we had going into construction of the park, we were not able to build a septic field, which is why we went forward with Porta-Johns. But it has become apparent that with the daily use of the park, that a permanent restroom facility is needed. And fortunately, an option has become available to us to construct a small septic field on the property. So with that, staff is proposing a permanent bathroom structure. This is a prefabricated structure by CXT. Should have an example of that in your packet. But it will have a brick facade and 2 full-service restrooms. And the total estimated cost for the project is $185,000. So with that, staff recommends that you authorize the town manager to proceed with this work in the amount of $185,000. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Williams?
I have a question. Hours of, will that have a lock on it since it's okay?
Yep, so it'll be locked up, same time the park is locked every night. We're looking into some automatic options for that, but right now it'll be a standard, just like we do at all our other parks.
Okay.
Do we have an estimate on about how many people are utilizing this park daily?
We do not. I can tell you just from being out there, I've seen 100 plus at a time with the playground and the dog park active at the same time.
Yeah,
So-
so it's popular, it's caught on.
Yep.
I'm good.
Anything else?
Are these multi-stall restrooms or single?
It's two single stalls, so each one is ADA accessible, has one toilet, one sink, and that's it, just two.
I'll entertain a motion for us to authorize the town manager to proceed with this work in the amount of $185,000 or less.
Motion to approve. Like less.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
You know our town manager, you know I didn't have to add that last part, right? But I had to get it in anyway. Item number 12, consider adopting resolution in support of legislation authorizing referendum action deemed appropriate. Town Manager Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Board. So this legislation is pertaining to a possible referendum providing for an additional 1 cent on the current sales tax in Mecklenburg County. I would like to stress that the legislation does not increase the tax. It simply provides for a referendum. It further, I won't rehash all 29 pages of the legislation, but this is, what's in your agenda packet is the same as what I provided you guys copies of probably 2 months or so ago. I'll just hit on some of the high points. Obviously, the major talking point, this, if you've been following this at all in the news, is the regional mass transit. I'm going to be perfectly frank with you. What grabs my attention is the road money. The potential proceeds from this sales tax are, as identified in the legislation, is 40, 40, 20, 40% roads, 40% for rail, and 20% for bus rapid transit. That 40% allocation for roads would come directly to the individual municipalities, including the city of Charlotte and all 6 towns. That amount, based on sales tax projections for the town of Mint Hill, would be north of $6 million annually. Obviously, it could fluctuate. Sales tax proceeds typically go up. If a recession, it may go down, but you're talking north of $6 million. Just to put that in perspective, if you want to talk about an issue of fairness, based on the current sales tax receipts, Mint Hill's penny, if you will, is about $4 million. So the way the legislation is written, and this applies to all the towns, but the way, or well, I specify towns, not the city of Charlotte, they're actually taking a bit of a hit financially to have all the towns be satisfied with this arrangement. But again, that's about 150% of what would be our penny. So the taxpayers in Mint Hill would basically be receiving $1.50 for every dollar in sales tax that they paid. It's my understanding, Matthews is obviously opposed to this for their stated reasons. All the other towns, including the city, have approved this resolution. We are the last town. That's not by design, just happened to be when the meetings fell, and I believe it's on Mecklenburg County's agenda in probably about a week or so.
Tuesday.
There you go. The mayor knows more about it than I do. Again, 29 pages worth of legislation. Happy to answer any and all questions that you guys can throw at me if I can.
Any questions for Town Manager Welch?
Just for the folks in the cheap seats that might be watching this, that I guess refer to us as you people. So us people, when we vote on this, this isn't voting to raise the tax. It votes to put it on the ballot for the voters to vote on this.
Not even. This is a resolution of support by this mayor and this board, should you choose to adopt it, to support the legislation which is asking the North Carolina General Assembly to provide for a referendum where the people of Mecklenburg County will then cast their vote as to whether or not they want to be taxed an additional 1 cent for these road improvements and rail
To
improvements.
be put on the ballot
So the
first.
people, the voters make the decision,
They make the decision.
not us people.
You are simply supporting, asking the General Assembly for the right for those people to have that opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I'd
sir.
like to add one on that, too, and that is a sales tax, a consumption tax, not a property tax.
Correct.
Okay.
Which if you geek out and follow some of the numbers, there are estimates that as much as 30% of the sales tax proceeds in this county are from people that don't live in this county.
Before we vote on it, I want to thank our town managers for spending all the endless hours that he spent with the other town managers who drove this bus for the last many, 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 many months and years, and I don't remember how long ago we started with this. But they've worked this out themselves, and very rarely do I get behind anything that's going to raise my taxes. With the exception of this particular one, and this is not what the vote's about, this is my personal feeling on it, just so that you know. I hear so much about our roads in Men Hill, our roads in Men Hill, our roads in Men Hill, and us people don't control the roads in Men Hill, the state does. But this is the first time in many, many, many years that some of those funds are going to come back to us so that we can decide where we need to use those funds. So I'm excited to see it on the ballot. The taxpayers will make the decision. But thank you, Town Manager, for all the work that you put in it and the other town managers around. Our transportation problems are regional. Whether some of our friends down the road don't believe they're regional, we believe in this town that they are regional, and so we're going to support some of the other things that are going on currently with the regional transportation zone. So with that being said, I will entertain a motion to consider adopting a resolution in support of legislation authorizing referendum that you have in front of you.
Make a motion to approve it or support it.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Have any further conversation or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right. Item 13, nope, we're not doing item 13. Item 12 and a half. There I go, breaking another rule. We have some scouts present this evening, and I would like them to come forward, please, be recognized, introduce themselves. And I do this to all scouts that I see in the let's have you up there where they can hear you talk. I do this to the scouts that I see in the audience most of the time, but I've been following this family for a while now, and watching some of the great things they're doing. So to this evening, we have one brother working on a badge that I understand. So if you would tell us your name, please, and then tell us why you're here this evening and what badge you're working on.
I am Gray Adams, and I am working on citizenship in the nation.
Okay?
No, community.
In the community.
Yes,
Very
sir.
well. And they made you come to this meeting, put up with all this night so you get your badge, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. These guys work hard for these badges. Who's that guy behind you? Can you get him to introduce himself?
I'm Jimmy Adams, Eagle Scout at Troop 65.
What was that last part after Jimmy Adams?
I'm an Eagle Scout.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's give him a round of applause. That is a big deal. I've been keeping an eye on Jimmy for a while, and I had to be out of town when they did his Eagle Scout ceremony. So it's good to see you here this evening, so that I can congratulate you, tell you how proud we are of you here in Mint Hill, and you keep leading those other guys and setting a good example over there.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And you want to introduce those other two people that are with you this evening, or you want them to do their own work?
This is my mom, Miss Adams, leader at Troop 65.
Yeah.
This is my dad, Mr. Adams. He's the quartermaster.
Let's give this family a round of applause. Thank you so very much. Now, do you have a pen yet, a town pen?
No, sir.
Oh, yeah, you need to come up here. I lose track of who's got them. I know everybody else in the family's got one, I believe, don't they?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Good, good. Thank you for being here this evening. You keep up the hard work. You're setting a great example for the other youth in the community. I know you don't think that you are, but they're watching you, so you keep up the good work, okay? Thank you very much.
I wouldn't say I'm glad that there was an issue today, but the meeting that Jimmy came to for Citizenship in the Nation, there was not an issue during that town hall meeting he could write about. There was no argument. But we had a problem with a fence and neighbor and a development, so he's got something to write about, so.
And when you write about that, let me tell you that that's not an argument. Adults don't call those arguments, although sometimes we go back and forth a little bit. In the town of Mint Hill, and it's the reason that I'm the luckiest mayor in the county, so that you know that, we can still sit down and have conversations and disagree and agree to have other conversations that you heard here this evening. So when you're writing your thing, one of the good things that you might add is those conversations I know are going to continue, and that's where Mint Hill adults set examples for the kids in the community as well. But we're glad to have you here this evening. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
I'm here to solve it civilly.
Yeah, civilly. Item number 13, other business and council matters. Commissioner Henderson.
Just a couple of things. The Board of Adjustments met in August, and a variance request was approved at that time. Also, the Mint Hill Chamber, in partnership with Independence High School, will be hosting the first Career Exploration Fair. It will be on Thursday, September the 26th, from 11 to 1. The fair will include students from Independence, Rocky River, and Queens Grant, and will feature 20 to 25 businesses from various industries.
Mayor Pro Tem Dalton.
The Historical Society on September 28th from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock will have their annual Jubilee. All is welcome to come. If you're looking for a way to get involved in Mint Hill and learn and people, they are always looking for volunteers. Radio voice.
Mr. Holton.
I'm excited now because I get to talk about my favorite time of year, which is it's fall, y'all. And fall, there's a lot of fun stuff coming to Veterans Park. The last family fun night of the year is coming up on the 21st at 6:30 with inflatables, games, food trucks, and the music of Ross Copley. Coincidentally, the first day of fall is the following day on the 22nd.
Oh.
Mint Hill Madness Pop-Up is scheduled for October 5th, 10 to 4. Spend an hour on the afternoon browsing unique gift ideas, household items, clothing, pottery, and tasty treats. And now, right now, is the time to start planning for the Mint Hill Scarecrow Decorating Contest. What started as something to do while we were stuck at home during COVID has turned into quite the event. Each year, the Scarecrows get more creative, so enter today on the town's website for a chance to win $500.
Commissioner Long.
Wow. Having to follow that, I can't do it.
Yeah, I know.
I know, but that's okay. For me personally, this has been a very emotional week, the last 5 to 7 days. Obviously, most of us, well, some of them don't remember where we were 23 years ago on September 11th, but most of us do. And where is that time gone and how have we changed? And then we dealt with another tragedy in an Atlanta area school. So it seems like it's been downer for us as a people. That being said, in the last week, Mint Hill lost a servant, a friend who gave 20 years plus of his life as a volunteer fireman, EMS kind of guy, who showed up even though he didn't get paid. He owned a local electrical company. He gave to Independence High School. That was many times in his conversation. If they needed something, Eddie Mobley was there to take care of the needs of the youth, the next generations. I remember working with him at Mid Hill Madness before it became a town event, and we were volunteering, and Eddie would come out and hook up the generators. I don't think there was ever an invoice shown for that. Just as he would help others in the community, and invoices never appeared. He set a great example for us all, serving others to make Mint Hill what it is, and I'm most grateful to have called Eddie Mobley a friend.
Thank you for that. Just kind of piggyback on that a little bit. 20-plus years ago, I walked into my first volunteer position with the town on the Park and Rec Committee, and Eddie Mobley was sitting in the seat next to me and set a good example. And Eddie was mentioned that he ran the electrical business in town. Well, that electrical business had a bucket truck. And that bucket truck probably did more free service for this town than it ever did service that it charged for. I can remember being at the Athletic Association and a light bulb would go out, and the next thing you know, Eddie was pulling in there that night trying to get the ball games in. I got a call from one of our citizens the day that Eddie passed, and the citizen said, I met Eddie Mobley when Queens Grant, the lights went out on the baseball field and we needed some help. And he said, I called the town. The town said, well, we can't do that for you, but call Eddie Mobley. And when they called Eddie, he spent 3 hours out there getting the lights back on for the Queens Grant and never thought about charging them a dime. So we have a lot of good people in this town, and he was one of them that I can call a friend as well. I just shared with these guys, I used to sneak into Jaybird's every once in a while and eat breakfast with these guys. And the first person that would light me up when I walked in was Eddie about what a terrible job I was doing as mayor, and he couldn't believe I ever got elected. And then before I could finish my breakfast, I'd find out that he'd bought my breakfast and sent me an email telling me what a good job I was doing. So he'll definitely be missed, definitely be missed. We are now going to go into closed session so that you that are here know how we operate. We don't go into closed session to talk about anything other than specific things that apply that we cannot talk about in public session. And those are legal matters, personnel matters, and the town attorney sitting down there, he could give me another list maybe of 2 or 3 more, but that's pretty much what's on the agenda. So we'll go into closed session at this time. We will not have any announcements or any further business after our closed session, so we'll adjourn from the other room. So I will entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you all very much.